It's gospel hour with J. 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 Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Kayla J's Gospel Hour right here on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. As you already know, we have been in our We Are Jerena Lee series. And today, I am really excited to welcome back to the program, introduce to a few of you, my big sister, an amazing woman of God. She is an author, she is a prayer warrior, and she is just somebody that you need to know. So please help me welcome to WURD none other than Evangelist Bridgette Wright. Hello, Evangelist Wright. How are you?
I am great and so excited to be on here with you. So thank you again for having me.
Listen, I couldn't do this series and highlight female preachers without highlighting you. That's just how I feel. Uh, on a scale from 1 to 10, I want to do a wellness check with you, Bridgette. With everything that's going on in the world, how are you feeling?
Well, again, I'm so big on keeping intact those emotions. So I'm doing okay because my trust is where it belongs. So I am doing okay. I'm doing just good.
That's good. That's good. So we're here again highlighting female preachers. So let the folks know a little bit about your ministry journey. When did you know that you were called to the preached word and to ministry, and share how that journey started?
Well, I believe again, getting saved, trouble led you to that. But I do recall always been around the church and I was always in the choir and I was always singing. And I remember a couple of the mothers used to say, you're going to be bringing the word. You're going to be bringing the word. And I used to say, like, no, I'm not, God's going to use you in this and you're going to be more or doing things or preaching in the word. So again, I was always around the church and I was always singing secretly when I was younger. Of course, I wanted to be like Whitney Houston. I'm just thinking I'm going to sing. And honestly, God had, patterned the journey because I even went to seminary with the intent that I'm going to, do this to develop, my greater understanding of God so that I could be a better singer. But again, before long, God introduced me to a particular person, and he kind of gave me a picture of what I was called to do through a particular person. So my journey has been, again, I thought I was going to be singing, but the more I grew in God, the more God took me through things, the more I became a lover, of the word and a lover of expounding upon the word, and just through life experiences, being able to share the gospel and how the gospel, healed me, and various things I was able to know that I was really called to the preached word.
Listen, you sound like me. I grew up saying I just want to be the minister of music. That's all I want to do. I just want to be the minister of music. That's awesome. So after, like you said, you experience knowing God for yourself, diving deeper into his word, and realize that you were called to the preach word. How'd you feel about that? It's not what you wanted to do, but it's where God has called you. How did life change for you after that?
Well, accepting it again. I didn't necessarily have a too bad of an experience initially with people accepting me speaking, and then sometimes I probably wasn't paying attention, but just again, I don't think I had it too bad for us. Certain things, again, I know it's a little different for women by way of probably opportunities. But the way things are flowing now is more opportunities for women. But I didn't really have a hard time. I do recall that the pastor that I mentioned it to, because I was so young, letting him know that I was called. He kind of discouraged me a little bit. He just said, and he wasn't doing it with the intent to discourage me from pursuing things in ministry. I was so young, and he was thinking, you're going to seminary at this young age, and you're you're talking about ministry, he was like, well, what about you getting married and having a, husband, did all these, talking about just regular life things. And I remember leaving his office, I was discouraged. I was just because I thought for sure he would be, right on with me, but he wasn't. And I remember I went to the restroom, I cried, and I could really hear that still small voice saying to me, but what did I tell you? And so it was then I still pursued my seminary degree. And then during that time, I was only in school. I came to prayer every day. I was at prayer every day. And I ended up getting licensed faster than anybody because, again, I pursued through with what God had, told me to do. And again, the pastor at that time, he was not necessarily trying to discourage me, completely from ministry. It was more looking, your life to pattern a different route. That's all.
Got you. Sometimes I think as women in ministry, that can also be hard too, because like you said, folks believe that we're supposed to pattern our life
Right.
after the traditional, I'm going to say it that way, the traditional lifestyle of a woman and take care of home and then do what you have to do. But like
Right.
you said, sometimes that small voice say, but what did I say? What did I say?
Right.
So
And
I'm super,
you
go
always
ahead.
have to have you always have to have the God said. Whenever you're doing anything in ministry, whenever you're doing anything, because you're going to have opposition, you're going to have naysayers, you're going to have people against you. But it's that God said that'll still wake you up in the middle of the night, or there's that God said that sometimes when everything is working against you, that will cause you to keep going. Make sure you have, despite people saying, I see callings on you, I see. Make sure, even amidst that you still have the, but God said.
That's it, right? That's a word right there for somebody. Make sure you have the God said. So, what all does your ministry involve? I know you have a few books. I know that you, like you said, you sing. So, what is your ministry about? Evangelist Bridgette Wright Ministries.
Well, I have multiple, again, multiple streams that flow from. You have the preach word, the evangelizing, which is my heart, spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. You have that particular stream. You have the stream of worship, the stream of worship, musically, but also with the writing tools that I have, various writing tools. I think it's over, I believe it's 10 books. 8 of them being the newest project I've been working on for a while, dealing with girl talk, building the inner strength of women. How you can be beautiful on the outside, but if you don't really have a good grasp of those emotions and who you are on the inside, it doesn't really amount to anything. So there's pocketbook series, 8 books that we have been doing. And again, the other writing tools dealing with various subjects. So there's multiple streams that flow from the ministry, but it's all with one direction, spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ and empowering the believer. So again, that's done through the books, that's done through the music, that's done through the preached word, that's done through just walking down the store, the aisle at the grocery store. That is done during those times. I live what I preach.
She does. She does
Mhm.
live what she preach, you guys. If you had to pick a favorite part of your ministry, though, which what would it be?
Favorite part, I guess it is the preach word, probably the most it's the preach word. But again, just the ability to again, your day-to-day encounters, or when someone call you looking for that wisdom, when it wasn't no wisdom of your own, but how the Holy Spirit will use you and speak through you to bless somebody else. So
That's
that's it for
awesome.
me. Mhm.
Earlier, you mentioned how when you were in seminary and you were on this path of getting licensed, you talked about you were at prayer every day. How important is prayer for not just ministry, but just how important is prayer in that daily devotion, especially for people in ministry?
You remember how the old people used to say it, just real simple. Little prayer, little power. Much prayer, much power. And how can you use or be used of God if you don't communicate with Him daily? If you don't have fellowship with Him daily, it doesn't mean that you always have to go to a physical building, but just learning, how to develop that on your own prayer life on your own. And it was, if I was called to ministry, I need to really be in tune or in fellowship, with God, to where I know what I'm to do. So that was my purpose of going to prayer even during those seasons. Because again, if I'm called to talk about God, I need to make sure I do, have fellowship with Him to get directions and etc. But prayer is such an important part for the believer, period, to stay in daily communication with God and fellowship with Him. Just as the world is so much going on even now, and just being in tune to where God would have you to go and you to do at each point and at each season. So prayer is very important for people in ministry, but not only that, just for the believer.
I agree. I agree. Uh, just a few more questions, Evangelist, and I will let you go. Uh, this whole series is highlighting women in ministry. And we know that over a period of time, some folks do not feel that women belong in the pulpit, that we're meant to be teachers and prayer warriors. So why do you feel that women in ministry are important rather than the preacher, the teacher, or the prayer warrior?
Women, again, whomever God has called and put His Spirit upon is important. I don't, discard a woman simply because she is, a woman in ministry. But again, I think for the women, don't spend a lot of time with trying to prove that you are. Don't spend a lot of time trying to get people to validate that you are. Whatever God has called, that's any individual, whatever God has called you to do, He's going to cause that right open door to open for you to get the message across that He's designed for you to do. Yes, it can get a little rough with if people not accepting, of it, if you're paying attention to a lot of that. But just wherever God has put the message on the inside of you and wherever it is to go, He is going to, because it's God's calling. So it's really God's job to open those particular doors, or wherever He would have that ministry for you to go. So just like in your regular, just as a woman, period, know that you are valuable, because again, whatever God has started in you, that's something valuable that He's going to bring to completion. So again, not spending a lot of time trying to prove that you are. It's more so just be it. And again, that's why you have to stay in prayer, because otherwise you will get distracted by things around you. Because again, whatever God has called, it is He that's going to open that door, open that right opportunity for the message that He's placed on the inside of you to come forth.
Awesome. You kind of already just said it, but I'm gonna ask you anyway.
Okay.
For younger folks like me who are just starting ministry or believe that they have been called to ministry, what is some advice that you would give?
Yeah, pretty much. Again, don't spend a whole lot of time trying to prove that you are. I remember it was an individual, and I really wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to her, just being honest. I wasn't paying a lot to, but it was like I would see her often. She would come into a particular setting that it was a group of us. So we would always be, and she would always, my hubby this, my hubby this, my hubby that, my hubby that. And I'd be like, okay, that's wonderful. And going up, I mean, she would do this consistently weekly, just talking about her husband and all the things, and just how such a great of a, in our minds, and we thinking, how wonderful your marriage is. And that's wonderful. Then one day she finally came in, and she just out the clear blue stated, we're getting a divorce. My thing is, when you have something, when you are something, you don't have to spend a lot of time trying to prove it. Oftentimes you don't have it if you're really trying to get other people to validate something. But when you truly know that God has called you to do something, when you truly know who you are, you don't have to spend a lot of time proving it. You more so just be it. And even when you're in the seasons of waiting, because throughout your ministry, you're going to have spots of great progression. Then you're going to have spots of even preparation and waiting. During those times, don't spend a lot of time trying to make things. It's God's calling. And wherever you prepare yourself, make sure you stand confidently in who you are. And at that appointed time, He's going to open the door or put you where you need to be for the ministry He's placed on the inside of you to do what He ordained it to do. So that's what I would encourage. Don't spend a lot of time looking for validation, but do spend time in preparation for what you believe God has called you. Don't spend a lot of time trying to tell people what God has told you. You're gonna find yourself in a pit, you know. And even in those times when you're telling, you think sometimes you bring it to your close proximity people who you thought were really with you, and you come soon to find out that they were really exploiting your gifts, or even said, betraying you in certain ways. Even that, God's going to work all of that out, but just learn how to know who you are, prepare for what God has said, and rest assured that at the appointed time, what He's put, it is His ministry, what He's put on the inside of you, He is going to bring that forth to us. And that's when it becomes that Revelation 3:8, for when God opens doors that no man can shut, because He's the one that orchestrated.
Mm. That was some good advice. Spoke just to me just now. I'm be honest and transparent. Oh man. Evangelist, let folks know how they can connect with you. I know you do some things on a weekly basis and a monthly basis. So share with folks how they can connect with you and Evangelist Bridgette Wright Ministries.
You can visit the website www.bridgettewright.org, and of course, you can purchase the writing tools on the website, and then all of your social media outlets would list about the prayers every Tuesday morning, and also inspiration in the Word on Thursdays, and just the monthly thing we do with the girl talk. Again, building the inner strength of women. But visit the website; you can find information that you need via the website.
Awesome. Evangelist Wright, I want to thank you again for joining me for Kayla J's Gospel Hour. It was a pleasure learning your story and you speaking into the lives of these young women that are about to embark this journey. I appreciate you, sis.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a joy.
Awesome. Folks, we have to get back to the music. You're tuned in to Kayla J's Gospel Hour right here on WURD, Progressive Black Talk